I want to go over what we'll be talking about today. First, I'll be introducing ITS and who I am. Then we'll be talking about mobile management 7.1, along with a disclaimer about how this is still beta software and everything. I'm not going to have too many slides, but I do want to give an overview of the features and benefits of what's new in 7.1, and just some general information about mobile management in general, in case you haven't worked with 7.0 at all. And then after that, we'll be spending most of our time actually in the live demo environment with my iPad here, and so you can see it, all the features and policies on the server side, and then also on the client side what the agent looks like. Okay, so before we start getting into this, just want to let you know this is pre-release software. We can't make any promises or guarantees of what will be in the general release, but we are running the latest beta software, and it is feature complete as far as what will be in the general release. So as I said in the beginning, I'm Adam Licata. I'm on the endpoint management team at ITS. I specialize in client management, mobile management, and endpoint virtualization. I'm an authorized Symantec consultant, specialized in endpoint management. We also focus on endpoint virtualization as well. ITS is a national and platinum partner. We're a partner of the year for 2011. We do focus on endpoint management and security solutions. We're based in Grand Rapids, and most importantly, we're an engineer-centric organization. And what that means is we have dozens of engineers going out every week. When we come back, we share a lot of that knowledge with each other about what we learn out in the field. And when you have ITS on site, that means you're benefiting from all that experience. Okay, so about mobile management. Symantec's strategy on this is threefold. First being policy management, being able to lock down devices, know what to expect in your environment, being able to have standards as far as what's on devices, what's allowed, what's not allowed, and being able to efficiently configure and provision them. And also to secure access to enterprise resources, whether that means through strong authentication or being able to distribute your certificates from the enterprise. And also data loss protection, ensuring that you don't have data leaking out through these mobile devices, threat protection from malware, encryption of sensitive content on those devices. So with mobile management, what we're going to be focusing on is the endpoint side. So that's going to include your configuration management, managing applications and content on those devices, and being able to see what's out there in your environment and what is on those devices and where they are. So here are some of the key features in 7.1. The biggest difference that everyone is really excited about is that there's now a native agent for iOS devices. So that includes iPads, iPhones, iPod touches. And what makes this different from other competitors in the mobile management arena is that you actually have a choice of agents. There's a generic agent, similar to the Symantec Management Agent, which eventually will be available through the App Store, so that allows people to easily download and install the agent to their device. But the other option is you'll be able to customize your own agent. So that means you can brand it and be able to roll it out internally to your devices without going through Apple's App Store. And there's some additional features that gets you if you customize the agent, which I'll talk about later during the demo. Detailed device inventory, being able to see your software inventory, hardware inventory, what version of OS is running, is it jailbroken, etc. Security policies. The security policies cover everything from enforcing passwords to um, setting up mail accounts, to exchange, setting up VPN connections. What really differentiates the Symantec Mobile Management from other products is that you're able to use the targeting that's built into Symantec Management Platform. So what that means is, the filters and groups that you're used to, if you already have Altiris, you're able now to apply those mobile devices. So when I go through the security policies, I'll give some examples of, targeting devices based on their security posture. Is it jailbroken? If it is, we probably don't want them connecting to Exchange or other enterprise resources. Authenticated enrollment, being able to know whose device is connected, based on their login information. Since devices tend to be personal, in that they are assigned to an individual, so be able to know whose device is where. Remote locking and wiping capabilities, being able to do it instantly no matter where that device is. Offering an enterprise app store. When I showed that through the demo, you'll be able to see that you can push enterprise content, whether it's Excel spreadsheets, videos, apps that have been developed in-house can now all be pushed through Altiris. Being able to push media, e-learning content, whatever you can think of through the mobile library, and being able to target devices based on their language, and also being able to efficiently provision devices, being able to standardize configurations on all these different devices. So, what does this really get you? What's been changing, in the past 5 years or so with mobile device management is now people are bringing their own smartphones, everything to the enterprise. Before, the company or organization could, just provision a smartphone. It would be owned by the company to give it to the employee. But now everyone has their own, so no one wants to carry around 2 devices. And if the organization doesn't have to pay for a device, they'd much rather just use that personal device, but yet be able to separate the personal and corporate data, so that it's a fully dual-use device. Being able to achieve compliance that we do with computers today, checking into Altiris, knowing what's on them, what can be pushed to them, being able to push enterprise apps. There's a lot of companies now developing applications in-house, but they struggle to provision those applications efficiently, besides just sending a web link to everyone and hoping that they click on it and install it. And enabling large deployments. Mobile management's 7.1 is very scalable, and it can handle a large number of devices. And it's going to have a similar, the architecture is basically going to plug in to what you're used to seeing in the Symantec Management Platform today. Okay, this is the main portal to Mobile Management 7.1. This portal page actually looks very similar to 7.0, but you're able to see high level of how many devices are out there and your licensing information. And this is a breakdown of devices by operating system. You can see we have 4 iOS devices and 1 lone BlackBerry device, which is actually just a simulator. From here you can drill down and show the devices. And then from here it's like any other resource component in Altiris, where you can then drill down and access the right-click menu from there. So the first thing I want to start with is showing you some of the actions that you can take. These are mobile device management actions on iOS devices. These are pushed out through Apple's push notification cloud, so it does require connection out to their servers from the mobile management server. You can see here, it can instantly lock the device. If they have a passcode on it, it would require that passcode to be entered before the device can be unlocked. Remove MDM and reset agent. Basically what that is it's a clean uninstall of the agent from the iOS device. Now, not only does it uninstall the agent, but it also removes any library content that was pushed with it, so documents, configuration settings, etc. Reset passcode. Anyone who has worked in help desk or interacts with people who have to fulfill those requests is going to love this feature, being able to do this remotely. This is a pretty big deal. Forcing inventory to be sent up immediately from the device. Forcing the agent to check in to receive new policies. And wiping the device will set it back to factory defaults, and it would require iTunes to reactivate that device. All right, from there I want to get into the configuration profiles of the iOS devices so you can see what policies we have available to us. This is going to deal with the configuration provisioning profiles and also to the security policies. So if your devices are on Exchange, or if your users are on Exchange, you're going to love being able to pre-configure almost every Exchange ActiveSync setting for your user and have it pushed down through Altiris. So this part of the configuration profile allows you to set all those Exchange server settings, fill in all the configuration that normally the user would have to do themselves, but now they can't get it wrong when they type it in because it's going to be filled in for them. If you leave the username and password blank, then it will simply prompt that to fill in the username and password. If you're not on Exchange, if you're using IMAP or POP, you can do the same thing. This is just defining those settings. If you have LDAP directory you need to connect to for like your address book, you can configure that. Passcode settings is probably the most used profile configuration in here. This is where you require the passcode and then the complexity for your devices. Being able to set the length, how often will it expire, will the device automatically lock. This is where you're able to apply your corporate or enterprise standards to these iOS devices. Restrictions deals with content restrictions, so not allowing certain features or services to be used. So disabling FaceTime, disable voice dialing, being able to block different applications from being used. There's some Safari configuration in here, and being able to set content ratings for media. The SCEP server is used to enroll devices with certificates. So this is required in your mobile management architecture and allows devices to securely communicate with the server for when they send inventory and receive commands. Being able to configure VPN settings, I see as another big win for the help desk or anyone who has to walk through end users who are doing this. It can be quite painful, for them getting all those settings correct. So this allows you to push out those settings for them. And if people have different VPN settings, or if not everyone uses VPN, you can target these profiles to specific devices, which I'll show you in a minute. Same goes with Wi-Fi configuration, being able to send out pre-configured Wi-Fi profiles. Especially if your Wi-Fi configurations involve pre-shared keys or anything complex to configure, this makes it very easy for the end user. So that's a quick walkthrough of the iOS configuration profile settings. So like I said, that's going to contain all your security settings and device settings as far as configuration goes. Now I mentioned be able to target devices based on different criteria. You can do that just like any other policy within the notification server. So here you choose your configuration settings. You can have multiple configuration profiles. So what that means is you can kind of slice and dice them up. Have one profile that says, these are the Wi-Fi settings enterprise-wide. This goes out to everyone. But then you can have different VPN configurations depending on who that person is, and be able to mix and match those within your configuration policies. So here, you could have a policy target all iOS devices that are being managed. You could build filters and such to exclude, devices that are jailbroken, devices, within certain GPS coordinates, almost anything you can imagine. You can build a filter around and then target those policies too. Okay, next thing I want to show you is the mobile library. This is probably what I would say is the second of the big three features in mobile management. First being configuration profiles, second being the library, third being inventory. So this mobile library, this is what gives you your enterprise app store and being able to push out content to it. And the way it works is it uses feeds, essentially creates RSS feeds for the device to read. You can target different feeds based on languages. And so you can say, these apps and this content applies to any device with the English language set as its primary language. In the future, we're hoping to see the same policy targeting that I just showed you, but also apply it to feeds. So these are the different items we're pushing down into the mobile library. You can see I have a NASA application, a PDF here, a game that one of our other practice principals loves, World of Goo, and some videos. So for instance, if we opened up the NASA application, you'll be able to see that we chose a public application from the App Store, and so we gave it a link down here to the iTunes Store, and then we specified what is the priority. So this is an optional install, and this is a commercial application they can upload an icon for and then push it out to anyone who subscribed to that feed. So I want to now show you what that actually looks like on the device. Okay, so this is my iPad that I have the agent installed on. It is currently running in the background. By default, it checks in every 24 hours with all sorts of inventory, which I'll show you in a couple minutes. So I'm just going to tap on the Symantec Management Agent now. And you can see the first window here are applications that have been pushed down. Pat thought it would be a good idea to require the World of Goo game to be installed on all iOS devices enrolled in the ITS demo environment. How thoughtful of him. And then from here, it's just one tap to install. So if I did want to install the World of Goo, I would just tap on Install. And then this is where you go to install the application. A few weeks ago, Apple announced a feature they're going to be launching soon is the volume purchase program for applications. So this would allow your company to actually purchase licenses for apps in the App Store for your employees, and then you would distribute that link through the Altiris mobile library, and so that they can just go into their mobile library, download the app. That way it's not charging their personal account, their personal iTunes account, rather it pulls from those licenses from the enterprise. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my agent app here. The next item over is documentation you push down. This is great for any documents you need to send to people who are on the road. This is a ton better than just passing out links to people through email because they're going to lose those links. They're not going to remember to click on them. So instead, this allows you to push it directly to the device, and then it gives them the option of downloading it. And once they download it, it caches it. So if I click download here, you'll see the download progress, and now it's opened the PDF document. And now you can see it's saved locally so that when I'm on the plane or traveling and I don't have a Wi-Fi connection, I can just pull it from that local cache. And if this agent ever gets removed or wiped, this content goes away with it. So that's that segregation we talked about earlier of personal and corporate content. You can also push out videos. We have our ITS partner videos on here, and Windows 7 video that Symantec did of wrangling computers out in the Wild West, of getting them migrated to Windows 7. And then this is just the About page. It can give your end user the link to your internal support contact information. This is essentially your right-click settings option that you have on workstations with the Symantec Management Agent. This is the iOS version. You can see high level what inventory is getting reported into the server. Hitting this button here will force an update with the server, and it'll basically kind of like send basic inventory. The next one is inventory. What data is actually being collected from these devices, because that data can then be fed into reports. Before I do that, I do want to show you how fast these commands are. If I were to send a lock device command down to my iPad, it usually gets it within about 1 to 2 seconds. So it will first prompt you, asking you, are you sure you want a lock device? We'll say yes. And now you can see my device is locked. Okay, so back to the inventory. One of the things you can do is you can build some integration around this inventory. So for instance, GPS coordinates are kept and recorded in the inventory. And so you can feed that into other things. So for instance, you could build a right-click action that says show on Google Maps and send that directly to Google Maps to show you where that device is. And you can see it pinpointed it based on my Wi-Fi location. With the Google vans driving around, they know where a lot of the access points are. So even though my iPad doesn't have 3G, it has a very good idea of where I am right now. Most of our data is going to be in this data class here. You can see you can get the device ID off of it. You can see who it belongs to. This is my Active Directory account that it is enrolled under. You can see the OS version of your devices, language, how long it's been running for, version of the management agent, the name of it, my IP address, wireless information, all of that. And then down here you can see the GPS coordinates, latitude and longitude, which was fed into Google Maps earlier. Being able to track memory consumption here. Here's your software inventory down here. Being able to see what applications are loaded, what version they are. So being able to report on this, build filters off of it, sending policies down to devices based on what software they have installed is very useful. And the very last thing I want to show is active sync policies. This gets outside of the iOS feature set. I was focusing on iOS today because those are the big new features in 7.1. But for Windows Phone 7 and other devices that don't necessarily have an agent, you can manage them through ActiveSync. So you get very, very similar feature set of security options, and you're being able to pull some inventory off of those devices. So basically, this is interacting with the Exchange server, allowing your mobile device administrators to build policies for those devices. So even though they don't have a management agent from Symantec, they can still be managed if they're connecting through Exchange. And again, these policies can be applied to different users based on different criteria. So there was a question about Android. Android support is expected. It will be in the we're hearing it may be in the version after the general release. So we're hoping by early next year. But it is going to eventually have its own native agent, similar to iOS, so that you get that broader support. So in the meantime, Android is supported along with Windows Phone 7. When it connects to Exchange, you get those policies sent down to it, and you get the inventory back from Exchange. Windows Mobile and BlackBerry do have their own agents, which gets you very similar inventory information, security policies, and you can even remote control those devices. All right, so hopefully this was a good overview of Mobile Management 7.1 and showing all the new features of what is in there for iOS and how other devices are managed by it. ITS has been working with it a lot. We'll probably be building some integration around it. We're definitely looking into building workflows, tying in self-service password resets, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of opportunities to integrate the product with your business processes. So I want to thank you for attending the webcast. Hopefully this is all useful information, and remember that this is still in the beta stages, so things are subject to change, but this is what we're seeing right now. If you have specific product questions, or if you're interested in seeing a demo presented for your organization or a proof of concept, don't hesitate to contact ITS and or your Symantec sales account representative. We do have the ability of putting this demo environment. This is already up in the cloud, so we can set this up for your organization so that you don't have to stage your own servers. We can put this up for you, and you can then enroll your devices and play with it for yourselves to get an idea of what it would look like in your environment. And that concludes today's webcast.